All right, yeah. So if you're watching this video, your booking rate sucks, obviously, or else you wouldn't be watching this. To get right into the video, what I'll be going over is essentially just how you can pretty much use this one software, Microsoft Clarity, which I use for all of my clients, and it's how I actually tell what it is that is keeping, your application rate, for example, or your booking rate, or whatever it is behind from what you want. What I will be using, like I said, Microsoft Clarity, it doesn't even need to only be used with applications. It can be used for anything. It is a website tracking app which essentially goes over and views and sees every single session that a user does, meaning if I went onto your website and just scrolled through it, clicked on a bunch of buttons, Microsoft Clarity would catch that and then give it to you and show, okay, what did this person do? What was the recording of it? What was their heat map? It overall just shows the entire human behavior that goes into your website. So it doesn't just need to be used for application use or getting your booking rate up, whatever it is. You can use it for so much more, and it tells you, like I said, what the actual reason is behind a low booking rate or what the actual reason is behind a high booking rate. But yeah, that's really it, and I'm going to get right into it now. Okay, so this is Microsoft Clarity, and I know it looks like a lot. It's pretty intimidating in the beginning, but all it shows is kind of stuff similar to GA4, which is just website tracking. And if you want to know the main difference between this and GA4, GA4 is all numbers. It shows you what is happening. So, how many people, how many page visits you're getting, how many sessions you're getting, how many users you're getting per page, any custom events that you have set up. It just shows numbers. With Clarity, this shows qualitative data. So all that is data that backs the why behind every single number. So if you have a bunch of page views, or let's say you have a bunch of applications on one page and a bunch of application clicks, Clarity will show the reasoning behind that. It'll give you the recordings, it'll give you the heat maps, it'll give you the customer behavior behind every single thing that, they did whenever you're in, that led to that high booking rate or that high application rate. So that's what this is. It's just a qualitative tracking. That's really it for what Clarity really is. This being paired with GA4 is a great combo. That's what I normally use that in Hotjar, which is another qualitative tracking thing. Anyways, so to get into it, I'll show you everything. Sessions, this is just the total sessions that you've had, how many people were, in your website. Pages per sessions, this is just, okay, what was the average amount of pages that people went through? Did they go through one? Did they go through their FAQ, your home page, your booking page, your application page? What do they all go through? Scroll depth just shows, okay, what is the percent average of the page that they're scrolling through? So, for example, if I would have scrolled from top to bottom to this, and I did that 5 times across 5 accounts, then it would show 100% because all of the users or all of the sessions, went from top to bottom. Average time spent, this just basically just shows what is the average time someone's spending on your page. It's pretty easy. So I'm not going to get into the dashboard anytime right now. If y'all want a video going over the setup as well as more on this dashboard, I can obviously do that, but for right now, I'm going to focus on recordings and heat maps because this is what's actually going to show you why people are either not booking, whether they are booking, why your applications aren't getting submitted, why, people are submitting applications. You understand what I'm saying? So recordings. This is just everything that people are doing. It literally shows a recording of what people are doing whenever they go to the, your page. So an example for this is this user automatically went straight to sign up and then signed up with Google. We can go to the other one down here. This person, they logged in this time. So all this shows us is, and you can see kind of how powerful this is. If you have a recording of what your users are doing, then you can obviously find the leaks and the bottlenecks and the points that need to be fixed in order to get that application rate up. Because let's say I go on the page and let's say without Clarity, I go on the page and I click on the application and then I immediately exit out of it because there's too much shit on it. I'm like, this isn't worth it. But I do have Clarity and I go on the page, do the same thing, click on it and immediately exit out of it for the same reason. I'm going to kind of get an idea of that now and see that. And if I see that across 5 different users, okay, a pattern starts getting developed. And now I can go through that pattern and be like, okay, when they click the application page, they just choose to immediately exit out of it. So that tells me something is wrong with that initial, view of the application. So that's when you can go and change it. That's why this is so important, because beyond the application, you can get every little leak and bottleneck and get the reasoning behind it. And rather than, most growth ops or marketing people, they'll take a guess. Without clarity, they'd be like, okay, maybe your headline or your sub-headline just weren't good enough. They didn't give enough emotion to get people to want to submit it. But now you're seeing, okay, they are opening it, but they're exiting out of it immediately with clarity. Now I have something to go off of. Now I have a lot better of an idea based on these patterns that we've seen. It's definitely the application. Same with heat map. This is where you can see what people are clicking on. So obviously for here, you can see it's the sign up page, the login and the sign up here as well, and then the demo. I'm on the demo right now as it says up here. And this is what most people are clicking on. Down here it says most popular and least popular. So the most popular is pretty much everything up here. It shows you the amount of clicks, all of that. So that's kind of the gist of Clarity, what it does, the powers behind it, and how it works so well with your own website. Now I'm going to get into how can you actually start testing, and now that you have Clarity, how can you start using this with testing and variables and figure out not just what the problem is, but also what the fix is. So as you see what I have pulled up here, I'll move my webcam back a little bit so you can see it better. But we have, variable testing. So let's say that this is our application page and we're using Clarity with it. We can see the recordings and we can see what people are doing. Let's say it was step 1A. This is the one that doesn't work. This is the one that we have initially had, and it's the button on top with the graphic on the bottom. And this just immediately people are clicking X on it. They don't want to use it. So we don't use this one, and we go to step 2B. This is where the variable testing is. So now we have our variable or our A/B testing. We have step 1 now, but instead of the graphics on the top and we have our button on the bottom, we could test both of these and use Clarity to see, okay, one, the button's heat map is a lot better now. It's not, it's now red and shows what we want to see. People are actually clicking on it. But also from the recordings, we can see, okay, they're going through, they're opening up the application, they're clicking the button, and then they're moving to the next step. So let's say, okay, we have our fix now. Step 2B. Now the bottleneck is, okay, people aren't going to the next step. Now we'll say, okay, now it's step 2, we're still not getting bookings. There's still no applications that are getting submitted. There's some sort of bottleneck there. Well, with step 2A, we have how did you find us as the first question. But with step 2B, we have the first name, last name, and the contact. This one is once again the one that doesn't work. Step 1, we figured out that we need to have the graphic on top and the button on the bottom. Now with step 2A, we're seeing this doesn't work. So let's instead use first name, last name, email, and now it's working. We're seeing from the recordings that they're going through it, just this and that. This is kind of what I want to I know this is really basic and you're like, why are you really telling me this? It's just all variable testing. Whenever you can start tracking each variable by its step and figure out what gets more people to click and what gets more people to go through your application and go through your website, then you start getting repeating patterns and you can start building off these patterns. You have these negative and these positive patterns. These negative ones, you want to stay away from, and you can keep them, in the back of your mind whenever you're making an application or a web page next. And you can keep the positive ones in your mind also. We're like, okay, I saw that having the next step as the first name, last name, and contact works really well, and that fixed it for me. I'm going to do this for my next application I make. And then we can do the same thing with we'll say that we did this time. How did you find us after the, contact? This didn't work. But the contact, well, I guess that doesn't make much sense. But instead, you get what I'm trying to say. You can see what works and what doesn't work just by testing variables and being able to see how people react through Clarity, through the software. That's kind of what I want to pinpoint in your head is, hey, rather than going off of guesswork, just install some free software, figure out what's actually keeping people back, and then elaborate off of that, iterate off of that. This is what I've done with all my clients. And, as someone in marketing who's made a lot of money, tracking is the number one thing. And I think Clarity is one of the best, softwares to use along with GA4 and Hotjar. That's really it. I wanted to keep this video kind of short because there's not much to go over. Clarity is a very easy thing to use. It's more so just how do you process that data from there? You know what I mean? That's kind of the biggest part, and that's what I do for a lot of these business owners is, okay, I'm translating the data to English. This is what you should do based off of what I've seen from Clarity and everything else. But that's really it. If you want to get in contact, message me, whatever it is. My IG is below, and I hope this video helped. Peace.